Hello, good evening, and welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for the Mind Matters series of webinar. I'm Aditi, representing Architects of Life. And on behalf of the entire team, I'm very happy to welcome all of you. And one thing we can assure today evening is that we all are going to have a wonderful time listening to some highly respectable speakers today. And today, the topic of discussion is going to be mental health. Is it just another dirty word? Well, there's so much stigma around the mental health issue going on, and we thought this is one of the best platforms to reach out to as many people as we can with some notable speakers around to bust some of the myths around mental health. Once again, a very warm welcome to you all. And I'd just like to request everyone to keep yourself muted. We are going to have plenty of time for question and answer at the end of the speaker's talk. And we'll be sharing some links of Pigeonhole. That's the platform we are going to use, wherein you can send in your questions and our moderator will help ask the questions to our speakers. So let's get started without wasting much time today. We'd also like to know a little bit about all our attendees over here. So if you are a professional working in the field of mental health or working with social enterprises, can you all press 1 in your chat box?
Watermelon. Yeah.
If you are a professional working in the field of mental health education, you can type 1. And if you are someone who's going through mental health issues, you can press 2 and let us know. There's definitely something all of us can learn from today's session. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. That's amazing. I'd now like to introduce you all to Mr. Glenn Lim. Can I have the next slide, please? Okay, before that, a quick glance through the program outline. We'll be having 15-minute discussion with both our speakers, followed by a good 15 minutes of Q&A, and then we plan to end the webinar in just exact 1 hour's time. We hope to stick to the time as well. I'd now like to welcome Mr. Glenn Lim, who is the founder chairman of Architects of Life and also GLC. He would like to introduce a little bit about the webinar and hand it over to our moderator. Over to you, Glenn.
Thank you, Aditi. Can you guys see me? If you guys can hear me loud and clear, maybe you can just help me by indicating a big fat yes or a Y in the chat box so that we can proceed with tonight. It's good to see such a large turnout, even though it's like a kind of a cozy 100 of you guys, 100 plus. Cool. And just hope that you all had your dinner and you're ready to have a wonderful time, a meaningful time tonight as we hear from 2 really prolific speakers. They are subject matter experts on mental health, mental illness. They're none other than Dr. Geraldine Tan and Dr. Christopher Fong. And you know, this is all part of our ongoing series of Mind Matters. It's a webinar series where we feature subject experts as well as professionals in the space of mental health, because we do want to have to build more awareness and also competencies in this whole sector, and not just for the industry practitioners, but also for the layman on the street. We keep things short, as tight as possible, so tonight will only be 1 hour. It is also part of our launch this year of Breakthrough Academy and Breakthrough Therapy. These are 2 what I call movements and vehicles by which we will feature more practitioners and galvanize, maybe even build a community of practitioners who are in this space, community of learners who want to give to society. So there are a few stakeholders in this platform, this event tonight. They are also Architects of Life, of which I'm the founding chair, and Miss 𝐸𝐸𝐺 earlier on, as she hosts. Later on, she will be invited to also give a token of appreciation for the speakers, and also GLC, Global Leadership Consultancy, which is also a platform by which we help to showcase different speakers and trainers' curriculum. Anyway, tonight it gives me great pleasure to introduce our moderator. Now, every now and then we try to feature our partners as well as people in the community. And tonight we want to give the platform to 𝗙𝗛𝗚 Wong. Now, 𝗙𝗛𝗚 is a young lady who's very active in the mental health advocacy space. She's also a co-founder of 𝗙𝗚𝗏, which is a ground-up initiative that helps facilitate and talk about mental health biasness. She is also one of my students in some of the courses that we took, and today we kind of serve together in the community, volunteering, etc. So she uses media and communications as a tool for positive social change, and she's an avid community architect who champions innovative mental health projects. I would like you to help me welcome 𝗙𝗚𝗚 as she moderates. Firstly, introduces a speaker, and later on during the forum, there will be a Q&A which she'll be facilitating. So over to you, 𝗙𝗚𝗚.
Thank you so much, Glenn, for the introduction. I'm really humbled to do my small bit to help, architects of life to promote, the importance of mental health, well-being, and mental health literacy. So thanks for the background earlier, the background about myself, Glenn. I will now actually introduce you to our first speaker of tonight's session. Her name is Dr. Geraldine Tan, and she is actually the founder of the therapy room. Right, and then she's going to talk to you the topic on, how does my shitty past affect my mental health? Now, mental health used to be a very taboo subject, right? People don't want to talk about it because they think that, mental health is for people who are perceived to be, emotionally weak. They don't have control of their mind and probably actions, right? People don't want to talk about it. In the past, it is deemed to be really a taboo topic that, people are possessed or they are dirty, right? They're being possessed by the evil spirit. So people try not to talk about it. But now, not so, right? Because now we actually know that it's actually from a scientific point of view, right? And not so much of the, other spiritual point of view. It actually has a medical, reason to why, mental health and well-being is affected. It is our biology. It is hormonal. And we have to come to accept, this reality and work with it to improve our mental health and well-being. So Dr. Geraldine Tan, she's a registered psychologist and also a clinical supervisor, and who's widely featured on the global media, so on and so forth. So without further ado, I will invite Dr. Geraldine Tan to share with us about how does my shitty past affect my mental health. Dr. Geraldine Tan, over to you, please.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Thank you, 𝗙𝗚𝗚, for the lovely introduction, and also Glenn for kicking off this whole thing. I'm really honored to be here, especially, when 𝗙𝗚𝗚 kind of reached out to me and say, oh, Jerry, can you come on board and chat? I was like, oh, of course, because I'm truly impressed with the work that she does. Until I was like, okay, I saw the title and go, okay, what title is this? I got a shock of my life. But if we think about it, right? This notion of my past influence my future and my present and what is to happen, right? So why can't our past influence our mental health? Definitely it does. If I can go over to my slides, I will try and share screen here. Yes. Technology is on my side today, yay! Usually it's not. So I'm quite glad it's on my side today. And if you look at the whole slew of things, please don't go, oh, so impressive. No, I'm not. It's not. It's because Jerry is just a very ADHD individual, okay, who just cannot sit still at all. And you will see a whole host of things. Now, later on, you'll hear me talk about choice. So I made that decision to embrace the ADHD in me and do a whole lot of nonsense. It's not nonsense, but I love to call it nonsense. So you see me doing a lot of different things. Even for myself, I dip into 3 different areas of psychology. So there is not only the clinical part, but also the educational part, which comprise of all your IQ testing, testing for learning disorders, your personality testings, as well as counseling psychology. So there are 3 different types of psychology that I actually do. Now, if we look, technology almost failed me again. What we want to look at is how our past kind of influence us, and then we'll go into some of the narrative work. Okay. So I thought I wanted to try and talk about something as exciting as the topic today. So shit-life syndrome is not really a syndrome in our DSM-5, okay? So it's not in any of the medical diagnosis, but shit-life syndrome is coined by the UK physicians and the US physicians to describe this bunch of disorders, you know, that seem to be caused by poverty, seem to be caused by abuse. And that's where they say, oh, this is because of their past, their life. And they describe it as because these people lack stability in their household. They have financial difficulties, or the area they live in, the environment they live in is really bad, and therefore it causes them to be the way they are. So if somebody is aggressive, they probably have been abused when they were young, or if they steal, they probably grew up in poverty. Okay, so they accorded all these disorders to what they call the shit-life syndrome. Now, is that really true? If that is really true, then we are absolutely screwed, you know, because then we cannot do anything about our life anymore. It's almost like our life is stuck and just carved in stone. Okay, now my computer cannot move anymore. I would need help. Okay, now it has moved some way somehow. I see a lot of people trying to participate in trying to click for me. Thank you very much. If you identify with anything, please feel free to circle it also, okay? So how our past actually affects us, it causes all these worries, right? If my family has a history of diabetes, I'm going to have diabetes too. If my cancer runs in the family, I might have cancer too. Sometimes it's because of the family or the environment I live in, I feel very embarrassed. So the self-concept, the self-esteem is being beaten down, okay? If I'm poor, I cannot get out of this poverty cycle, no matter how hard I try. Okay, or if I'm an introvert, I cannot do I cannot socialize properly. I'm very awkward. I'm not good with people. Okay, so is that really true? What do you all think? How many of us feel that we are stuck? We cannot get out of the rut? If actually you all cannot see, but my little girl is beside me and she says, me, I cannot get off of my introverted. She's not introverted. She's really noisy. I think there is something wrong on my side. I cannot click. Okay. Okay, never mind. It's not very responsive to me. So we have the problem of this so-called shit life syndrome, right? But we cannot just have the problem without the solution. So why do you come to psychologists? So that you have some solutions. And later on, I think Dr. Chris will give us more solution. So I'll give the boring solution, where you sit on my couch, and welcome to my couch. When you sit on the couch, we will be working with you. So there's something called narrative therapy. Okay, so where you have this big ball of problem and you feel that everything is chaotic and everything is stuck, and your perception is, that's it. This is the story, and this story will go into print and it comes out. But what if we told you that this story needs to be cleaned up because it's only a draft work? And once we deconstruct it, we can reconstruct another beautiful story that is your story, because that is somebody else's story. Now we're going to create your story. So what we're going to try and extract from this therapy work is all the strengths that they have and the values that they embrace, not what the story has dictated for them. Okay, to help them to walk out nicely. Okay, so we have the 5 different steps. There are actually more steps. We try and deconstruct it or try and keep it to 5 steps. So one is, what is the main story that we are looking at? Okay, then externalizing seems very strange. Do we blame other people? No, we don't. Instead, point 2 is to separate the problem from the person. You are not the problem. You are not poverty. You are not the abuse. Okay, abuse happens or rape happens, but you are not that event. Okay, so we decouple the entire thing, for the person from the situation. Okay, and then we look at what are some of the associations, what are some of the things that we can extract from the story, from inside the story. What are some alternatives? What are the different parts? Okay, and then we look at, is there a difference that we can see? How can we see things differently? So we need to put on a different lens already. Okay, and the last one is, can we rewrite the ending? I'm not sure whether it is your era, but if I say it, it might showcase my era. But I used to read storybooks that have different endings. And I always wanted to read each and every ending. So life sometimes hasn't written our endings yet, but we tend to then just think that there is one way and one way only. So what we want to do is to broaden the understanding to allow you to understand that you write your own endings. So that's how the therapy worked in the session. And with the help of the psychologists, we help you to navigate the paths, the different paths. Okay, so some questions that you can ask yourself so that you're not just stuck in the past. Okay, when we say it's a shitty life, what are we doing? We are taking ourselves and sticking ourselves in there. And that's not what we want to do. Okay, so some questions you can ask yourself: what are some main issues you are facing? You know, what are these problems? Where does it come from? Are these, you know, situations that we should call problems? And the magic question, are there times that the problems don't affect you as much? And what helped? And how can we continue to grow that? I see people tracking it again. Thank you for following through with it. And these are some things that we can use within ourselves. Okay, so there's external locus of control, not to be confused with the earlier point of external or externalizing questioning. Okay, this external locus control is who is in control of our lives. Are we still going to permit the environment, the people outside, or are we going to take control of our lives? Okay, so some of us are very familiar with cognitive behavioral therapy. Some of us are very familiar with different sort of therapies where we take you through how you can help yourself focus on your internal strength to then deal with situations. Okay, so what is outside of our control are things like, oh, how people judge me. How people judge you, we really cannot control. What your environment is, we really cannot control. You know, the past, we cannot control. What is history, right? And what is the future? We cannot. So it's only the now that we are able to hold on to and start writing. So the pen is in our hands, and it is at this point that we can start writing, right? So my little girl has escaped already. She's not quite little, she's 12. So she recently picked up yarning. So I'm not sure if you know what it is. So this is a ball of yarn, and she just used one needle, but it's only a ball of yarn, okay? If we try and figure this out, we might not know, and I have no idea. It just looks like a big mess. So this is what we want to do. This represents our shitty life. But what we want to do is to create something we can call our own. So if you can see, she hasn't put in the eyes yet. This is actually a finished product, and this is an octopus. Okay, so we want to go from this to this. So the shitty past does not mean that nothing good will come out of it. Okay, and with that, I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Chris, or maybe I hand it over to Velda, or anyone that has questions for me. Yes, and this is my center. Yes. So
thank you so much. Yep. Sorry. Yeah. Thank you so much, Dr. Geraldine. I think I can understand, you know, sometimes there are technical difficulties. So I would like to seek everybody's understanding and to bear with us. Thank you very much for bearing with us with the technical difficulties. Yeah, but I just wanted to respond to Dr. Geraldine's quick sharing before I remind everyone to drop your questions in the Pigeonhole link. And then after Dr. Fong's sharing, we will actually open up the floor, the Q&A, but do encourage you to drop your questions in the Pigeonhole link. Just a very big thank you again to Dr. Geraldine Tan for your sharing. I really like how you call the inner self work, or what I call the me work, as a narrative work, right? Your inner dialogue. I really like that. I've been taking down notes and I've learned a lot just on your quick, I would say, a crash course, right, on the lecture that you did. It was really, really helpful personally. And recently I learned this thing that somebody mentioned on their WhatsApp status. They actually wrote that actually there are nutrients, you know, in shit. But you need to know after you have absorbed the nutrients from the shit, right, to actually come out from that shit. Because, you know, eventually, I'm sorry for using the word so crudely and bluntly here, and I hope you don't mind if, with all due respect, you're eating your dinner. I'm so sorry about it. But yeah, you know, as a human being, we have to detox, right? And you have to let go of the shit after the nutrients have been absorbed. And, you know, we hope that with that, we can grow and improve better, you know, as a human being. So thank you very much, Dr. Geraldine, again, for the really quick crash course on the lecture. I really learned a lot. It's like a micro learning. I will now introduce the next speaker. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Christopher Fong, who will be sharing about, what the F do we really want in life, right? He has 27 years of clinical practice with him, and now he is training leaders in the social service sector in Singapore, and he's also an academic prof with SUSS, and he is the author of the book, What the F Do You Really Want in Life? So I'll now hand over the time to Dr. Chris, who will walk us through his presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Velda. And also thanks for Dr. Geraldine as well for very, very in-depth knowledge of mental health. Good evening, everyone, one and all. I'd like to thank the organizers as well for organizing this and also for inviting me to give this talk. How is everybody this evening? Like to unmute yourself. How's everybody this evening? Everybody's very shy. Okay. All right. Okay, let me show my slides. Okay, do I have my slides here? Yes, I do. I think I could be familiar to some of you. Let me open up the slide now. Okay, can you all see the slides? Okay, yeah. Okay, let me see. Just a minute. Okay, not to scare you. I mean, if you see so many things like that, means I'm of age already. Okay, all right, means old already. All right. Just a little bit myself, as mentioned. Okay, I started my career as a counselor. Then went to did clinical and counseling psychology. Been in that space of workplace mental health. Okay, for very long time, almost I think about 18 years. Okay, looking at clients from the workplace organizations. We usually don't call it counseling, we call it employee assistance program. Okay, so companies will buy this outsourced service for their employees. If the employees have got problems, they can call this hotline and speak to us. Okay, so it's the hotline is manned by counselors and psychologists. I've been away for almost quite long. I was based in Hong Kong. And then when I came back, I was under the visibility of NCSS, National Council of Social Service, where in if I'm not wrong, 2016, I was appointed National Fellow, okay, to assist the directors of the social service landscape, the clinicians, the executive directors, okay, in their clinical work and also their leadership. All right, and I'm still with them, and also now helping WSG, all right, with the numerous 𝗍𝗏 professionals who are unemployed. Okay, now these unemployed locals, okay, when it's very long unemployed, they can get into mental health issues, okay, because of stress and anxiety. All right. Apart from that, I also hold academic positions. I'm the academic dean for the University of Roehampton, the master's program. I also hold chair with SUSS, where I wrote my module, the multicultural issues in counseling, both at the bachelor's and the master's level. I consider myself a practice research clinician. That means I practice and I also do research. Okay, so like we call practice research, evidence-based. My specialization for all these years, I've always been in addictions, process addictions, not so much substance, but more process addiction, lifestyle addictions, complex trauma. I also deal with gender orientation issues, people with same-sex issues. My preferred mode of modality is Gestalt among all the other integrated models. And of course, my research in my doctorate was about multicultural issues in the clinical practice. Okay, right. So, okay, good. Now, very timely this invitation to come and address all of you, because my book just came out 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks. All right. It took me about 2 years to contemplate whether I should come out this book. All right, because I didn't want the book to sort of feature my dysfunctional life. I don't think we want to know about my life. I felt that I want to come out a book to help counselors to help social workers and case workers, especially in their counseling process when they counsel people. Okay, instead of asking so many questions, all right, I came out this what we call a personal risk inventory. Okay, to help case workers when they look at their clients, they don't need to find a needle in a haystack. You just have got 16 questions. You will find the issue of the client. So it's just like what Dr. Geraldine said, the external and the internal locus of control. Okay, so I've put it into like a sort of like a tool. Okay, so to help the client, help the counselor, okay, to find out where those problems are, right? Now, given all my years of seeing clients and all that, right? If I could put all those cases, all the 25,000 cases I've seen into 4 categories, all right? If I could curate it in 4 categories of people who, what do they come and see me for? Interesting, they all start with F. Okay, people will come to see me for about their family, you know, their children, their marriage, or you know, their aged parents, family. If they don't come and talk about their family, they could be talking to me about finances, right? They got financial issues. Now, if they don't come and talk to me about financial issues, they definitely be talking to me about their future. Okay, that means they are in the wrong job, they hate their job, or they got no job. Okay, last but not least, as a result of this 3, all right, they may have, it will affect their fitness. Okay, now this fitness part could be psychosomatic, like biological. It can affect, you know, lowering your immune system. Okay, mental health has this kind of effect. And then you also have psychological issues and emotional issues. Okay, so if people would come to see me, basically 4 things: finances, family, future, fitness. Okay, they may come for 1 or they may come for all 4, right? Now, so what I will do is, all right, I will get my client, okay, to do this test. First, I'll ask them to rate finances, family. You all actually can do this now. Finances, family, fitness, future. Rank these 4 in your current life right now. What you put 1 and 2, as you can see, the instruction is an issue. That means it's a concern right now. 3 and 4 is not an issue. Okay? If I could use a colloquial term, 1 and 2 means very jialat. Okay, it's serious. 3 and 4 is no problem. It's okay, I can manage. Right? Okay, so when you rank this already, okay, then I'll ask the client, okay, what were you thinking when you rate whichever F as a 1? What were you thinking when you rate whichever F as a 4? Okay, so they will articulate it and they will tell me. Now, then I will ask them, if I could give you something structured that has got 16 questions just to see whether you got your priorities here right, would it be helpful? Would it help you to be more accurate in this? Many of them would say yes. Okay, all right. So then I will present to them, all right, the 16 questions which took many years to create, because you know I was thinking, do I want to publish this book for the global context or only Singapore context? Then I realized that because of the certain terms, okay, if I use, like, let's say a kopitiam, and then the global audience wouldn't know what's kopitiam, okay, or hawker center. So I said, okay, I have to publish this book in a Singapore context. Okay, so after they rate it, I will give them this 16 boxes. All right, they will rate it. They will do the questions horizontally. Okay, not vertically, horizontally. So when you start with finance, you will ask like, how's the current state of my finances and all that. And then, or based on my goals, how are my current savings and investment? Okay. Number 3, how's the current state of my financial knowledge? Then how's the current, like, you do it horizontally. Okay. Now in the book will help you, because when you do the test, you definitely ask me questions. Dr. Chris, what is +3 and what is -3? Right? Can you see at each box that there's an algorithm there? There's a scaling there. So the book will tell you what is that +3, what is the +2, what is the +1. Okay, you need to get the book in order to do this test. But I'm just giving you a generic overview of what this personal risk inventory test is all about. Okay. Now, after when you have gone through this test, All right. You will add up. You will add up, and then you sum total. That means if there's some minuses, you just sum total the thing up. Okay. After when you add up, right? If there's any pluses, okay, the ranking should be a +3 or +4 if it's pluses. If it's a minus, if you add up, if you total the thing is a minus, then it should be a 1 and 2 because anything minus is 1 and 2. That means there's an issue as a problem here. Anything pluses is not a problem, it becomes a 3 and 4. That's how you rank the 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. After that, I will ask you earlier part when you did your this 4F. Now when you did this, did you get your priorities right or not? Okay. Because earlier part you just rank the 4Fs. You got no 16 questions to guide you. But right now you got 16 questions. It has to be more accurate. These are not perfect, but at least it's an indicator. Better than nothing. Okay. So next, then I'll ask the client to circle those squares that has got minuses, be it whether it's a -1 or -2 and -3. Okay. When they circle those boxes, I will ask them, are those boxes with the minus keeping you awake at night? And are those boxes the very thing you wake up and think about? Because those are the things that is causing the stress and anxiety. Okay. Now, if you have -3, you need to quickly get it intervened or mitigated, because perpetuating the -3 is not very healthy. Okay. That's very low. -3 means it's quite severe problem already. You really need to seek some assistance to help you, whether it's professional or what. Okay. Now, in the book, right, if you have minuses in the finances, right, all right, the book will advise you to go and see a financial advisor, because sometimes counselors, we do not know about the finance. We don't know how to do finance management. So go and see an expert who can help you in the finance. All right. If you have family problem, go and see a family therapist or a counselor who is trained in family and marital therapy. Okay. If you have a fitness -3, please go and see a fitness instructor. Okay. Or get someone who can help you to exercise or whatever under fitness. Now, if you have a problem with future, go and see a career coach. Okay. So can you see these 16 boxes is like a risk assessment? Okay. Now, if you are predisposed, that means you have genetically predisposed mental health. All right. In life is not fair. Whether you have mental health, when you're a child or a situation, a trauma happened in adult, everybody has to go through these 4Fs. Okay. These 4Fs are like your life account. You got to manage these 4Fs. And when these 4Fs are not managed well, stress, anxiety comes into the picture here, because it troubles your mind. Okay. Right. So if you want to get a hand of the book, okay, to know the minus and how to do this test, okay, let me give you the code. Let me see if I have it here. Here it is. You can take the QR code. Okay, or you can go to the link. It's HTTPS. Or you can take the photo and then can do it later. The ebook is only $10. The hard copy book is 20. Let me show you if I have got the hard copy book here. Oh yes, I do. Okay. What I did was I only printed 300 only, and during the book launch, I think I sold quite a bit. Okay, and very interesting. One of the guests that came for the book launch said this. Dr. Fong, sometimes we just don't want to know our problem. You just want to live in denial. But your book make us face reality. Yeah. Okay. Now, interestingly, when some of my clients, when they did the ranking, the 4Fs, right? Okay, remember the beginning at the 4Fs, all right? They just rank, and then earlier part they suffer from insomnia and they cannot sleep, all right? But interesting, when they do the 16 boxes, all right, they can sleep. Even though some of the boxes were minuses, they still can sleep. The reason is because why? They now have an awareness and enlightenment of where their problem actually is. Yeah, as opposed to just you rank it, you don't even know where the detail of your problem is. So down here gives you a real in-depth of where your problems are. Okay, but whether you want to fix it, you don't want to fix, it's up to you. But at least you know, because in mental health education, it's always about knowing where the problem is first. Okay, awareness, action, actualization. aware. Being aware where's the problem, whether you want to act upon it, that's your prerogative. But at least you know where your problem is. Okay, so I came up with this book, all right, to help not only my clients, also for caseworkers. That I can tell you, the minute you do 16 boxes, you don't even need 1 hour. You only take 15 minutes. You already know what problems the client's actually facing. Okay. In the book, right in the very beginning, I actually wrote the purpose of why I wrote this book. Okay, there was just a very short summary of my own journey, how I started in the space of psychology, and then also about a little bit of how this metrics came about for my PhD, because I was researching about culture, multicultural, okay, about people's values and beliefs, okay, and how that values beliefs help them sort of undergirds their priority, how they decide about things in life, okay, because your life decision is actually based on your values and your beliefs, okay. Yeah, so I also use this book in all my training right now. Okay, it's not like I say, it's not a perfect tool, but at least it's something to provide some form of indication. Yeah. In the book, there's also some QR code where I actually did a recording, a video recording actually, okay, of my clients doing the test and me guiding the client. Okay, so when you see the video, it will help you to see how I do the test. It's very, very simple. It's very clear. Okay, all right. Yeah, so I cannot give you the algorithm because it's too much already. So you have to get the book, all right, and the algorithm is there. The book is so thin only. That's how thin the book is. Okay, so as I said, I don't want to write about my life. I want to write something to help people know something about their lives. It's not about my life, it's about your life. Okay, all right. Thank you very much. I hope you support this book and hope this book will bring you some insights, okay, about your life and what to do about it. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Fong, for sharing. Yeah, I was also busy taking down notes while listening and also checking out your book. So thank you. And I'm pleasantly surprised to hear you just launched it 2 weeks
Yes.
ago. Thank you. I thought that it has been at least like a month, but wow, okay. 2 weeks, man.
2 weeks only.
Yeah, I mean, it's fresh off the oven. So
Yes.
everyone, please do check out the book if you have time. So right now, I'll actually be hovering over to the Q&A. So we'll give you some time to scan the QR code or click on the link that's shared in the chat. Yeah, and then we'll give you some time, maybe a few more seconds to input your questions before I take over the share screen. I think also looking at the chat, yeah, 𝐸𝗔 said that, the tool you have shared is very helpful, Dr. Fong, to identify the issues, right? The 4 Fs, actually, it stands for family, future, finance, and fitness. Yeah, I was also trying to rank on my own, and I realized that my future and my finance is actually the top 2. And it makes me question myself, is this what I really want? Future and finance to be top 2, or is it the other way around? So it's a lot of, like what Dr. Geraldine shared earlier is about the narrative work, the questions that you're asking yourself. So immediately it's applicable for me. Yeah. So yes, we'll share the link to the book over in the chat shortly. Oh, wow. Somebody said she bought the ebook already.
Wow, so fast.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh no, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that my video was off. So sorry about it. Okay, so maybe I hope everyone has input your questions into the pigeonhole, because we do want to give you some time, to reflect on the very enriching sharing by our 2 speakers tonight. Even though it's only about a good 10 minutes, right? But I do think that it is quality over quantity, right? Their sharing was, very in-depth and very insightful. I've learned a lot. I was, again, busy taking down notes. So I'd like to really just give you guys some time, right, to sit with your thoughts, to do some reflection, to see, what kind of questions that you would like to ask the speakers. I think I've seen just now earlier in the chat that somebody asked Dr. Geraldine, in the chat earlier on what is your area of specialization for psychology, and what kind of disorder do you handle? Yeah, that was a question earlier on.
Sure, I can always take the question. Would you like that, Velda?
Sure, you can take the question while we give them. I will still have the screen sharing. The QR code will still be there for people to slowly input their questions. But I think, yeah, it's a good gesture. Thank you, Dr. Tan, for answering that question first.
No worries, no worries. Yeah, I just went on that slide and go, oh, I'm very ADHD. So I was quite thrilled when Dr. Fong showed that slide, and I was like, maybe he's as ADHD as me. But no, he was like, no, it's years of experience. I was like, okay. I work across the board, not as extensive as Dr. Chris, but like I say, 3 different areas. So clinical covers things like depression, anxiety, eating disorders, schizophrenia. So these are some of the things that I do. The educational part, so those of you who have children or yourself thinking that maybe you have a learning issue like dyslexia, ADHD, or some of the difficulties and struggles, in the school environment, that probably comes under the educational part. The autistic children, they need to be diagnosed, they come to us, and the different teens that have suicidal ideation, they have teenage angst, existential crisis. So I work across the developmental lifespan, from the little ones to the teens, to those, young adults transitioning, to the married couples. So what I pride myself is I'm almost like a GP of psychologists. So a lot of psychologists tend to specialize. And when I was younger, I felt ADHD brain, right? I say, I cannot settle for one thing. Oh no, how? And it took quite a number of years. So Dr. Chris looks so young, at 27 years. I'm how many years? 22 years in the field also. So no matter how I catch up, I cannot catch up with Dr. Fong. Oh dear.
Stay happy, stay
I will
happy.
try. Yes.
Stay happy.
That's true. I think that's a very fundamental criteria to be happy, to be positive. Yeah, to have that mindset. So being that GP of psychologists, I journey with families. So I'm very proud to say that I have families that I do see siblings. Sometimes the parents also, I journey with them. Because sometimes there is a family history of anxiety or family history of depression, within, and that's what I do with them. A whole host of different things. So if we have time, because I do see the pigeonhole comments are up already, if we have time, then I can delve a little bit more into other exciting disorders that I deal with. But in a nutshell, that's what I do.
Thank you so much, Dr. Geraldine. I think, both of you do have very a lot of experience. I think there's a line that says that 1 minute on stage is 10 years off stage. So it's a lot of hard work. Okay, so let's dive into the questions. I'm mindful that people want their questions answered, right? That's why they're here. Okay, the first question: as family members or caregivers, right? Or caregivers, what are some things that we should be mindful of while caring for people with anxiety disorders? So I think either one of the doctors can take the question.
Geraldine, you go first.
Sure. I guess I'll go with the recent spate of all the talks that we've been doing for carers. So when we so the first thing that I always remind, very often we always think about, but I need to look after the person with the disorder, or the patient with dementia, or the elderly, you know. But my emphasis is always the person that is in front of me. That means the carer. So the first person that I look at is your mental well-being, whether you are fatigued, whether you are burnt out, because without you, no need to talk already. You don't, no one else will look after the one with the disorder. Okay, so that's the very first thing that I would take note of. Of course, then is to educate ourselves with whatever disorder there is. And the third thing is to trust your team. That means you have your resources there, but many times the carers will take everything upon themselves. And I would say, please remember to delegate. Please remember to subcontract your different parts to different people. Okay, your team is there for a reason, and we are there to look after, whether it's the medical doctor, whether it's the caseworker, whether it is the relatives and friends. They are also willing to chip in as long as you raise your hand. So a very quick 3 things. There are definitely more. I just consolidated into my top 3 that I would love us to remember today. So Dr. Chris, your little insight from yourself.
As much as I keep teaching counselors all that about self-care, I'm right now in the position of in this role of caregiving, because my mother's got dementia. Okay, and I'm now practicing what I preach. Okay, I think very importantly is having that whole ecosystem of other people helping you. Okay, but also self-assuring yourself that you're doing your best. Yeah, because I think sometimes caregiving, you feel that a lot of self-blame. Okay, so I always have to tell myself I'm doing my best. Okay, anything else, all right, I leave it to the higher being. Yeah, I do my best, and my best is enough.
Thank you, Dr. Fong, for sharing. I think that's a very timely reminder as well. Sorry, guys, we'll just extend the Q&A session for about 5 to 10 minutes, if you all don't mind, because we do want to address some of the very pertinent questions that they have for Dr. Fong and Dr. Geraldine. So is there a way, right, to actually prevent mental health problems?
Oh, it's a very difficult question. I guess we are all here to try and manage it, but I love the question. Is there any prevention? And we've grown up with that statement, prevention is better than cure. I guess if I can borrow Dr. Fong's 4 areas, financial, family, fitness, and future. See, I've been listening. These are non-controllables. But if you talk about the other 4 on your metrics, then it's within our control: wealth, health, ability, as well as time. So you've kind of put it very succinctly. The prevention is how we manage the controllables, our own areas that we are aware of. Now, if you're not aware of all these, so before you come for the talk, you're very unaware of many things. Now you are aware. So once you are aware, you put some effort and some work into it, it will definitely bear fruit. So if we look at our environment, how can we manage certain things? We cannot control our environment, but certain things in our environment. How can we grow our skills, our abilities? These would definitely help us a little bit more. And if you know you have a disorder, I would say, please don't hesitate. I still have many people coming to me and say, is it embarrassing to see a psychologist or to go to a psychiatrist? No, the answer is, you are so respected because you know what the problem is, and then you seek help for it. Yeah, so you are taking steps to prevent further deterioration. So that's very, very important.
Thank you, Dr. Tan. I think that is very helpful on reaching out. I think that is, again, what I've learned also, especially for men, right? There's an Asian male stereotype where they cannot be seen breaking down and asking for help, but therein lies the danger, because everyone will hit a breaking point, and that's when they some of them who, might drive themselves over an age, and that's why the highest suicide rate is actually in males, right? 10 to 29. But that's a topic for another day that we'll explore. I wanted to just dive into the next question, because it's really I think it's really a good question, right, to Dr. Tan. The 𝗙𝗛𝗥𝗚𝗦𝗧𝗢𝗣𝗛𝗡 syndrome seems to be an excuse given because people living in the poorer countries, the developing countries, are more resilient sometimes, right? Because they strive for survival every day, right? Every day survival is on their minds, but perhaps for people who are in Singaporeans who are a bit more sheltered and protected, it's first world problems, right? Some of the first world problems. So really, is the 𝗙𝗛𝗥𝗚𝗦𝗧𝗢𝗣𝗛𝗡 syndrome more of a developed country issue, Dr. Tan?
Well, the SLS really is not a diagnosis, okay? So it was just coined by the physicians when they noticed a group of disorders and the similarities and where the source was. I think I hear that in this question in different ways and forms, is the very common one I hear is depression an excuse for many people? Or when we diagnose someone with ADHD, suddenly it becomes their behavior becomes excusable, and the older generation tends to say, oh, but in the past we just suck it up and deal with things, and there's no such thing as ADHD, you're just stupid, you're just lazy. Now, I guess when we attempt to try and identify certain groups of behavior, it is so that we can do something about it. It's not divided into rich or poor issues, right? And if we look at mental health issues, it hits anyone. It doesn't matter. It has no eyes. So it's not going to say you're rich, you're poor, and therefore we are going to just focus on one group of clientele or one group of people. It's not going to do that. So when we look at a group of behaviors and create that awareness, it is so that the clinicians, the therapists know how to manage, and for you to know how to manage those behaviors. Yep.
Thank you. I just wanted to, I'm mindful of time, but I just wanted to get a lot of questions answered. These, I think, questions are really good. Maybe we do last two questions, a quick one. So the question I wanted to ask is, what are some routines or practice that one can do to maintain their mental well-being in terms of under time pressure, under stress, and also what to do if somebody I know is aware of the mental health issue but they refuse to seek professional help because they think it wouldn't help them. So the last two questions. Yeah.
I think if anyone is suffering from mental health, right? Okay. Give them space. The more constricted the space, the more irritant they become. Give them space. Okay. When I say space, it may not be physical. It also can be the boundary. If they don't want to talk, leave them. Yeah. Okay. It's all about being present for them. You don't even have to say anything. Okay. That's called space. Just give them space. You don't need to ask them any question. Sometimes I think we are too quick to be empathetic. Too quick. Just be there. Being there is good enough. Really, no need to say anything. If I want anything, I'll ask you. You know, just be there for me. Just if I'm sitting at the beach, sit with me at the beach. No need to talk. No need to ask me where I want water, one drink. No need to ask me. Just sit together. Let's enjoy the breeze together. Yeah. So think about space. Give people space. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is really, really important because sometimes the family members are so eager to force it down their throats, you know, and then it kind of backfires. You drag them down to the center or you drag them down to the doctors. They start to get aggressive. They start to get upset. No, yeah, absolutely agree with you. Yeah, I suppose the other one, how to maintain mental health. Then I would say let's look at emotional self-care, you know, because I always say that psychologists are emotional doctors. So why not go with emotional self-care? And I mean, we know about self-care. We know, you know, what to do. So emotional self-care is really creating the awareness of all our different emotions and recognizing that we need all these different emotions. It makes us human. Okay, so we need to look after our toolbox also. If we don't look after our toolbox, the tools get rusty, isn't it? So when we look after our emotions, how it's going to help us is increase resilience, you have increased self-esteem, you have trust in yourself because you are not worried that you will suddenly just snap or you cannot regulate yourself. Okay, you're more congruent with your emotions. You can connect with people better. Okay, so what are some things that you can do? We talk a lot about that mindfulness. So there are so many different sort of mindfulness that you can do. Mindful walking, mindful listening, mindful eating, mindful movements even. So many different kind of mindfulness. Find one that fits you. Okay, I like the fact that Dr. Chris mentioned to give space. Now, in emotional self-care, we also talk about that. We talk about maintaining healthy boundaries, okay? Healthy boundaries with people. Because sometimes some people can be quite intense, so they come to you and you feel a little bit like, oh my gosh, overwhelmed, or you feel a bit stifled, or you feel, you know, when the young ones love to say, I vibe you. So we feel different people's energies and vibes. You know, when somebody is a bit negative and you're constantly with them, it does kind of drag you down. You want to put a little bit of distance between yourself and them also. So setting that healthy boundaries. And earlier I was talking about internal locus of control. So that's positive self-talk. Okay, and the last one is really rest. Adequate rest. So I love the fact that, you know, after doing Dr. Fong's metrics, we can sleep better.
Yes.
Very important. A lot of people come and say that I've insomnia, I have difficulty sleeping, you know, I can't fall asleep, I wake up in the middle of the night. So rest is so important for our mental health. So just another little lecture, a little mini micro lecture here, but I thought it was a nice way to just end it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Fong and Dr. Tan. I mean, we could go on, and I'm really engaged, and I wish we could go on, but again, you know, it's a Thursday night. We want to, you know, end this. You know, I mean, personally, I do have insomnia, so I do resonate with, you know, on setting, you know, boundaries and having deep quality rest, you know, for everybody. So without, I'd like to hand over the time now to Glenn to sort of share a bit more about the other work that 𝐴𝐻𝐻 does and kind of wrap up tonight's session. Over to you, Glenn.
Thank you, brother. And thank you, Dr. Chris Fong and Dr. Geraldine Tan. Thank you so much. Guys, if you can just turn on your video, and if you are, you know, if you are visually around, can you just clap your hands, or you can just use the reaction button and give a digital applause. Thank you so much. Now, We have gone over time by a few minutes. I do want to share some exciting news as well as offer opportunities for us all to continue to grow our community of awareness and support for people who are going through mental health issues. So very exciting that this year we were able to launch a fully funded WSQ Skills Future CST program, which is the counseling skills training. It was launched a couple of months ago, and every month we've been seeing an overwhelming response of full out classes. So we are going to send you the link as well. In fact, we're going to send you the link tree because there's so many other things. I'm just going to pick out this one or two. Counseling skills training is by far one of our flagship programs before the term ends in probably 1 or 2 more years, where the policies will change around skills future and in terms of your credit. Next, we want to kind of relaunch the EDT. Is the EDT here? Yeah, or the youth worker training is also a WSQ and skills future credit eligible course. Those of you who are into youth work, you may be into mentoring, or you are a youth worker, social worker, or even a counselor who want some skills training in learning how to work with this generation, in the next generation, then the YWT model, youth worker training, is very applicable to you. Again, click on the link and you have the full outline and a courseware all stated there. EDT is one of our also very exciting. It was birthed during the COVID period, the pandemic. This is something that I run personally. This is my modality. It's called energy defragmentation therapy. We talk so much about the unconscious and subconscious past and also underlying issues that sometimes we have not learned to resolve or reconcile, and so it causes this fragmentation and fracture that needs to be resolved somehow. You can't just use talk therapy, so this has got to do with a holistic approach using body work, energy psychology. So that's something you can read up as well. In fact, you can scan and click on the link that's being provided to download a very free, a very short, a brief introductory video training. Yeah, I think it's about half an hour or 40 minutes, and I will be outlining what EDT is all about and how you can also be trained in that area.